Our next topic is capacity management. When we say capacity, it means the capacity of your productive facilities, your plant, your machinery, the facilities where you perform your productive activity. So capacity management involves decisions regarding expansion of your productive capacity. Should you expand or should you not? Capacity planning, should we expand our productive facility or should we not? It's a part of your capital budgeting process. Capital budgeting process you will study inshallah in your CMA part 2 section E, investment decision analysis. We will study in detail how do we decide which project should we take. If we have multiple projects, how do we rank them? How do we prioritize them? So it's a very detailed activity when we plan for long-term investments in capacity planning. Why it is a very important issue, why capacity management is crucial for organization success. The reason being that your capacity planning directly affects your pricing, your product costing, and your financial statements. Now, this appears to be quite a confusing situation. How capacity affects your pricing, how it affects your costing, how does it affect financial statement? Let's say if I purchase a plant for $10 million and the depreciation of this plant, of course, is a part of fixed factory overheads. Because it's a part of productive cost, it will eventually become the part of cost of production. It will be inventoriable cost. So it will be capitalized as a part of product cost. Since it's a cost element, it will affect your costing. At the same time, when we make pricing decisions, we keep a very close eye on the cost of the product. Of course, your pricing should be set at a level that it recovers your cost incurred, direct material, labor, variable overhead, and your fixed overhead. So yes, capacity planning affects your costing, it affects your pricing, it also affects your financial statements. It affects your income statement through depreciation. It affects your balance sheet because of the net book value of your asset. It also affects your cash flow statement because the year in which you purchase the machinery, the plant, in that year the cash flow statement will show quite a significant outflow. So yes, it's a very important decision for any business. It affects your costing, pricing, as well as financial statements. So as I said, capacity expansion, it's a major strategic decision, means it's a decision that will affect many years of your organizations into the future. And I would say it is the most important factor to avoid industry overcapacity. There are many suppliers like me, A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on. If most of the firms start expanding their capacities, this could lead to a very serious alarming situation called the industry overcapacity. Firms will start fighting with each other in order to cover their overheads. This price wars, this competition leads to overall erosion of profits, so which is not good for the competing firms. So industry overcapacity must be avoided because this overcapacity will lead to erosion of profits. Everyone would be a loser. So it's a very important decision. And it's a very complex decision also. It depends upon many factors. Since it's a complex decision, we need some rational approach when we are making decision to expand our productive capacity. Michael E. Porter, he has given us the model that will help us decide should we expand or should we not. Michael E. Porter's model of the decision process for capacity expansion has following interrelated steps. Let us discuss these steps one by one. Yes, this is an important point here called preemption. Preemption is very important in competitive environment because what your competitors do, it will directly affect you. Let's say if you have 4 competitors A, B, C, D, and this is your business, whatever decision they make regarding capacity expansion, it will directly hit your business. Competing firms, they influence each other's customers. Right? So it's an important point to note that you need to see what your competitors are about to do and before they do it, you should do it. This is called preemption. Preemption means acting and attacking the enemy before the enemy attacks you. Right? That's the idea. We use it in the defense studies. So preemption in business studies means that you need to keep an eye on your competitors and you need to see what they are planning to do, and you need to take your actions accordingly. If they're going to make a decision that will going to affect you, so you need to react before some bad effects come to your business. Then these are the steps. Let us discuss these steps one by one. First step is identify the options. If you want to expand, there are many ways of expansion. You might go for horizontal merger. You might agree probably to a strategic alliance with some business. This is the option 1. Option 2, you might start exporting your product in other countries to expand your market. Or there could be many other ways: strategic arrangements, conglomeration, diversification. You could combine with other businesses. You could arrange for licensing arrangements. So what are the options available for expansion? And we need to see which of these is suitable for us. Let's say we have decided to go for a horizontal merger. We want to acquire a firm which is similar to our business, and we will become a larger firm having a larger market share. So let's say if we have decided for a horizontal merger, the next step is to forecast various factors including the demand. Now this is going to be quite an expensive activity when you decide to go for horizontal merger. It will involve lots of funding requirement to acquire the business, a competing business. You also need to see how we can combine these two businesses synergistically so that we can maximize the benefits. What is likely demand? How would it affect our cost? How would it affect our marketing arrangements? Many things needs to be various factors needs to be forecast, including especially demand, because this is going to affect your future viability, because you might have gone for a merger, you become big, but the likely market demand is bit slow in increasing. So you may not be able to cover your overhead. So this could be a problem for you, right? So forecast various factors: action of your competitors, likely demand, cost structures, spending level of the customers, tax rates, economic confidence, so on and so forth. There could be many factors. Most importantly, demand. Then, since you are not operating in isolation, whatever you will do, your competitors will react. Your competitors will react in some way, in one way or the other. So you need to assess how your competitors are going to react to what you're going to do. This will help you position yourself accordingly. Then, once you have decided to go for the horizontal merger, you have made various forecasts for demands, business confidence, tax rates, likely action of the competitors. Now it's the time to predict the likely sale price of your product. Keeping in mind, if you're operating in a competitive market, then price is not in your control. You may have to select the price that is currently prevailing in the market. But if you are going to be a leading firm or a monopolist probably, then setting a price could be in your control. You could charge a price you may want to. So setting a price a lot depends upon the market structure in which you are operating. In competitive market, price is not in your control. So many firms are there, you are not the one to control the price. So this is the fourth step: predict the likely sale price. If you are in a competitive market, see what the price could be set, keeping in mind the currently prevailing prices. And if you are in a leading position, dominant position, having the largest share, then you have some control over pricing. Okay. Step 1, 2, 3, 4 done. Then check the above steps for inconsistency. All these 4 steps must be consistent. All these 4 steps must point to the same direction. Horizontal merger, demand is going to be high. There are very few competitors and you are going to be the dominant player. Then yes, you can go for high price. All above 4 factors are in congruence with each other. They are consistent with each other. But if you are operating in a very competitive market, competitors can react, then you are not in control of price. If you set a higher price, this point here will be not in consistence with the previous point, so that the whole process, the whole activity might fail. So that's why you need to make sure that the above 4 steps, they are consistent. So you make the right decision. And then once you finally decide to make the investment, then you need to establish different levels of productive capacity. Let me explain these one by one. Let me first explain the theoretical capacity. Let's say you expand your plant size, or you acquire a business, meaning thereby your productive capacity increases. Let's say if you acquire a plant, this plant can produce 100,000 units per annum if used for 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is called theoretical, or sometimes the ideal capacity. Of course, not every business can sustain this level of output. There are downtimes, there are unavailability of material or labor. So if you bring the practical limitations into picture, you might be able to produce just 80,000 units per annum. This appears to be practical because this level of production considers downtime. It considers the unavailability of material and labor. This is what we can achieve. But historically, our sale has not been more than 70,000 units, for example. So if you consider your long-term average over the last few years, this would indicate your normal capacity, right? So this is what you need to set for your budgeting, for standard costing. This will help you establish budgets and calculate your variances. So you need to establish how would you be able to achieve the practical capacity, if possible. For how long can you be able to sustain your theoretical capacity, which is of course not sustainable. You can't operate at 100% capacity for a long period because there are inevitable downtimes. You can't run away from them. So this is the capacity that can be maintained for over a long term. So you need to decide which of these you need to go. So capacity expansion also involves discussion of Ainsworth matrix. This is not in your syllabus. You won't find it in your book. Please note this down. It is not in your book. Now, we have 2 axes given here. This is called Ainsworth matrix. Very helpful model. Let's say if you have an existing product and you want to take it in the existing market. That is, sell more in the existing market. Let's say my existing product is CMA, or let's say take ACCA. ACCA is well established in Pakistan. Existing product is ACCA, and existing market is Pakistan, right? So if I go for existing market with my existing product, so basically I am extending my market. I'm going for market penetration strategy. So selling your existing product in the existing market, this is called market penetration strategy. You want to penetrate deeper in the market to increase your market share, right? This is the safest. It has the lowest level of risk. Why? Because the product is known, the market is known, you are selling more of your existing product in the existing market. Now, what if you take your existing product and enter a new market? Let's say you enter into Central African Republic, CAR, it's a country in Africa, Central African Republic. You are taking your existing product for which you have expertise and you take this product to a totally new country. And what you are doing now, you are developing your market. This is called market development strategy, right? Now let's see on the other side of this system, this axis. Now we have a new product, let's say CMA. And let's launch this new product in our existing market, that is Pakistan. So launching CMA in Pakistan, which we did about 10 to 12 years ago, this is called the product development. You are currently in this market and you are bringing new products. So focus is on product development strategy. And now this one is the one with the highest level of risk. Why? Because you are taking a new product in a totally new country. CMA, a new product or service in a totally new country. This is called diversification strategy. This is the strategy with the highest risk. This is the strategy with the lowest risk. And these two strategies have the medium risk, where you develop your existing market or where you develop your existing product. But entering a new market with totally new product could be very risky. So this was essential for a question. Let us move to the questions now. Okay, question number 1. Effective cost capacity management minimizes the value delivered to the customers. Now, why would you minimize the value delivered to your customer? You want to serve your customers the best. Why would you do that? We want to maximize the value. We want to maximize the benefits delivered to the customer. Wrong. Effective cost capacity management maximizes the required future investment. That's again a very ridiculous approach. We would like to minimize our future investment. We want to make our effective investment now, so we will have to spend minimum amount of investments in the future. This is wrong as well. Then what is effective cost capacity management? It matches the firm's resources, the strengths, with the current and future market opportunities. Whatever you have, using those resources most efficiently and effectively to generate returns for the future. D is wrong. Effective cost capacity management is limited to eliminating short-term worth. Why would you eliminate your short-term worth? You would like to deliver value to your customer. You would like to enhance your worth, not in the short term, but in the medium and the long term as well. So we got our answer, it's C. Next, what is the key strategic issue when a firm is considering capacity expansion? Key strategic issue. Key strategic issue, I told you, is not to overinvest. If you are overinvesting, many firms are overinvesting, it will result in what you call a very serious situation, industry overcapacity. Because if industry has overcapacity, everyone will suffer. Everyone will start incurring losses because you have to cover your overheads. If you are unable to cover your overheads because of increased capacity, you will be in big trouble. Then this one. Capacity expansion is also referred to, let me take you back. Capacity expansion means you are in the existing market and you take your existing product and sell more and more of your existing product in the existing market. So market penetration strategy is the capacity expansion. You want to expand within your existing activity what you're doing, right? So that makes, let us see which of these options matches. That is market penetration. Expanding, selling more of your existing product. Market development, selling your existing product in the new market. Product development, selling new product in the existing market. And diversification, which is the riskiest approach, is selling a totally new product in a totally new market having the highest level of risk.